The rain hammered against Sarah's apartment window with a fury that matched the storm brewing in her heart. Another rejection email glowed on her laptop screen of the 15th this month. Her savings account showed a balance that made her stomach clench with anxiety, and tomorrow's rent notice sat unopened on her kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. At 28, she'd imagined her marketing career would be soaring by now, not crash-landing in spectacular fashion. But as she closed her laptop and reached for her umbrella, preparing for her evening shift at the local diner that barely kept her afloat, Sarah had no idea that one act of kindness would change everything. The bus stop outside her building was a scene from a heartbreak movie. A man sat hunched on the narrow bench, his shoulders shaking, not from cold, but from exhaustion and defeat. In his arms, a little girl slept peacefully, oblivious to their dire circumstances. Her tiny fingers clutched a worn stuffed elephant, and her father's jacket, clearly too big for his thin frame, draped over her like a makeshift blanket. The man's face was etched with the kind of worry that comes from loving someone more than life itself while having no idea how to provide for them. Sarah stopped walking. Every rational thought screamed at her to mind her own business, as she could barely take care of herself, let alone strangers. Her bank account was evidence enough that she couldn't afford to be anyone's hero. But something in the man's posture, the protective way he cradled his daughter despite his own obvious exhaustion, triggered a memory of her own father holding her during their family's darkest financial crisis 20 years ago. "Excuse me," she called softly, approaching the bench. "Are you okay?" The man looked up, startled. His eyes were a striking blue, rimmed with exhaustion but holding depths of intelligence and determination that immediately caught her attention. "We're fine," he said quickly, instinctively tightening his hold on the sleeping child, "just waiting for the next bus." But Sarah could see through the lie. His clothes, while clean, showed signs of wear. His shoes had small holes that he'd tried to conceal. Most telling of all was the way he kept checking his phone with increasing desperation, at the universal gesture of someone whose options were rapidly disappearing. "It's going to storm all night," Sarah said gently. "The buses might stop running." "I live right here," she pointed to her building. "I have a couch. You and your daughter could stay warm tonight." The man's jaw tensed. "We don't take charity." "It's not charity," Sarah replied, surprising herself with her firmness. "It's humanity. I've been where you are. Someone helped me once when I needed it most. Now I'm passing it forward." For a long moment, they stared at each other. The rain grew heavier, and the little girl stirred, whimpering slightly in her sleep. That sound broke something in the man's resolve. "Just for tonight," he whispered. "I'm Marcus, by the way. This is Emma." "Sarah, come on. Let's get you both inside." 20 minutes later, Marcus sat on Sarah's small couch with a steaming cup of coffee while Emma slept peacefully in Sarah's bedroom, surrounded by extra pillows and blankets. The transformation in Marcus was remarkably clean, warm, and fed. He looked like an entirely different person. But it was their conversation that truly surprised Sarah. "I used to run a consulting firm in Seattle," Marcus explained, his voice heavy with memory. "We specialized in corporate restructuring and digital transformation. Built it from nothing into a multi-million-dollar operation over 8 years." Sarah nearly choked on her tea. "What happened?" "My business partner embezzled everything, cleaned out our accounts, destroyed our client relationships, and disappeared overnight. I lost the company, our house, everything. Emma's mother couldn't handle the stress and left us 6 months ago." His voice cracked slightly. "We've been moving from city to city, staying with friends until we wore out our welcome, sleeping in shelters when there were no other options. I keep applying for jobs, but without a permanent address or references I can trust." "That's horrible," Sarah breathed, her heart aching for this man who lost everything but still radiated quiet dignity. The worst part is watching Emma adapt to this life like it's normal. She deserves so much better. Marcus stared into his coffee cup. I have interviews lined up this week. Actually, 3 companies in this city. If even one works out. They talked until nearly midnight, sharing stories of dreams deferred and resilience tested. Sarah found herself drawn to Marcus's intelligence, his unwavering devotion to his daughter, and the way he spoke about business strategy with the kind of passion she recognized in herself for marketing. Despite their dire circumstances, Marcus outlined innovative ideas for brand development and customer engagement that made Sarah's mind race with possibilities. The next morning, Sarah woke to the smell of eggs and toast. She found Marcus in her kitchen, Emma beside him, both preparing breakfast. "Daddy's a good cooker," Emma announced proudly, her gap-toothed smile lighting up the room. "I hope you don't mind," Marcus said, looking slightly embarrassed. "I wanted to do something to thank you. I found ingredients you already had." Over breakfast, Sarah learned that Emma loved drawing and wanted to be an artist like her daddy used to be before he became a businessman. Marcus showed her his old sketches of brilliant logo designs and marketing concepts he'd created during his firm's heyday. "These are incredible," Sarah said, studying his work. "Have you considered freelance design work while you're interviewing? Without a computer or portfolio presentation materials, it's tough to compete." Sarah made a decision that surprised even her. "Use my laptop, my printer. Update your portfolio and resume. Emma can draw at my kitchen table while you work." For the next 3 days, Sarah's small apartment became an unlikely office space. She continued working her diner shifts while Marcus transformed her living room into a productivity center. Emma drew pictures of the 3 of them, her new family, as she called it, while her father crafted presentations that showcased years of business expertise. On Thursday morning, Marcus dressed in his one good suit, looking every inch the executive he'd once been. Sarah had helped him prepare for 3 interviews, role-playing difficult questions and polishing his presentations until they gleamed with professionalism. "Thank you," he said simply, but the words carried the weight of everything they'd shared. "Whatever happens today, you gave us hope when we had none." Sarah hugged Emma goodbye, watching from her window as Marcus and his daughter walked toward the bus stop, hand in hand. The call came at 2:47 p.m. "Sarah, it's Marcus. I got it. The regional marketing director position at Meridian Industries. They want me to start Monday, and they're advancing me enough for an apartment deposit." Sarah screamed with joy, drawing stares from other diner customers. Her own interview at Meridian was scheduled for the following week, a coincidence she'd mentioned to Marcus but hadn't thought much about. Monday morning, Sarah stood in Meridian Industries' gleaming lobby, her portfolio clutched nervously in her hands. She'd researched the company extensively after Marcus got hired, learning about their innovative approach to sustainable business practices and employee-centered culture. The marketing coordinator position felt like her dream job if she could just get through the interview. "Sarah Mitchell," the receptionist smiled warmly. "They're ready for you in conference room A." Sarah walked down the hallway, her heels clicking against polished marble floors. She knocked on the conference room door and entered, then froze. Sitting at the head of the table in a crisp navy suit, looking every inch the successful executive, was Marcus. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered. "Hello, Sarah," Marcus said, standing slowly. His eyes held a mixture of joy, gratitude, and something deeper. "I'd like you to meet the interview panel. I'm Marcus Thompson, Regional Marketing Director." He paused, his voice softening. "And I believe you're here to interview for our marketing coordinator position." The next 2 hours passed in a blur of professional questions, portfolio reviews, and barely contained emotion. Sarah's qualifications spoke for themes over her creative campaigns, strategic thinking, and innovative approaches to digital marketing impressed the entire panel. But it was the unspoken connection between her and Marcus, the shared understanding of resilience and second chances, that filled the room with electric possibility. As the other panel members filed out, Marcus remained behind. "The job is yours if you want it," he said quietly. "But I need you to know this isn't charity. Your work speaks for itself. You're exactly what this company needs." "Marcus," Sarah began, tears threatening. "You saved us," he continued, his voice thick with emotion. "Not just that night, but you reminded me who I used to be, who I could be again. Emma talks about you constantly. She drew you into every picture of our family." 3 months later, Sarah stood in her new apartment, a spacious, bright, and filled with Emma's artwork covering every wall. Marcus's voice drifted from the kitchen where he was making dinner, while Emma sprawled on the living room floor, coloring in a brand new art book. At Meridian Industries, Sarah and Marcus had become an unstoppable team. Her creative marketing campaigns, combined with his strategic vision, had increased company revenue by 30% in their first quarter working together. But more importantly, they'd become a family, not through blood or marriage, but through the deeper bonds of shared struggle, mutual respect, and the kind of love that grows from truly seeing and believing in each other. Sometimes Sarah still thought about that rainy night, how close she'd come to walking past that bus stop without stopping. One moment of choosing kindness over self-preservation had altered the trajectory of 3 lives forever. She'd learned that helping others wasn't about having enough resources, so it was about recognizing shared humanity and acting on it, even when logic suggested otherwise. The evening sun streamed through their apartment windows as Marcus called them to dinner. Emma ran over, grabbing Sarah's hand. "Come on, Mama Sarah, Daddy made your favorite." And in that moment, surrounded by love she'd never expected and success she'd always dreamed of, Sarah understood that the most powerful investments aren't financial, they're the moments we choose to believe in each other's potential and offer hope when hope seems impossible.